Hey, welcome, friends. It's Wednesday, and here at the Wily Hobbit group of Dungeons and Dragons broadcasting channels and networks,
Oh, sorry.
or, well, my Twitch channel, um, that means one thing, and that means 5e D&D and Dave running screaming from the set. At any rate, we're going to play some D&D, and we're glad you're here. So my name is Scott, also known as Wily Hobbit. I'm your host and Dungeon Master. Let's go around the table and meet our players and their characters. Why don't we have Rebecca go first? Rebecca is working from her cell phone this evening, so we will have Rebecca on an audio only basis. But tell us about your character, Rebecca.
Hi, I'm Rebecca. Lulu is a level 3 kobold druid who is very unhappy with the current gnome situation in Sandalin.
Nice, but the gnomes are helping.
That's-
They're,
They're
but they're gnomes. Therein lies the problem. All right, very good, very good. Let's go to the upper right corner with Ethan.
Hey, everybody. I'm Chris, WikiVA on Discord and Twitch. I play Ethan, the 157th level human diviner
Wow.
who knows everything that's going to happen tonight
Before it happens. Nice.
before it happens.
Before it happens, because nothing's happened yet, and yet you know. Yes. What sort of
Right.
spells does one get at 157th level as a diviner?
Well, you get pretty powerful ones. Know everything before it happens is currently slotted.
Is that the name of the
I
spell?
had,
Know everything before it
as-
happens?
Right. And as you may recall, I had Power Word Kill Chimera
Yes.
a few sessions back, but I took that off because I don't think I'm going to need that for a while. So
Yeah. That's
very
good.
powerful spells.
Good to know what's on your list. I mean, not that I would ever take advantage
Yeah.
of knowing that. As a
Right, no.
DM, totally would never do that.
No, well, I'll take a quick rest and change them up if I have
Very
to.
nice. Very nice. All right. And then Ezralyn, Kayla, tell us about your character.
Hi, I'm Kayla, also known as Whisper, and I am playing Ezralyn, the half-orc Eldritch Knight fighter. She just likes to be in the back and loom at people. That's about it. She's older, veteran, mercenary veteran.
Yeah.
That's it.
She knows her way around a dead body, especially at the end of her sword, right? Nice. All right. And we'll, look at that. Just right on cue, Dave manifests out of nowhere. Dave, tell us about Jacob.
Oh, well, Jacob is a very happy-go-lucky, absolutely no horrible backstory, halfling cleric who also happens to like being a trickster and might be in some circles interpreted as a bit of an underhanded, smooth criminal, shall we say?
Nice. Smooth criminal. Yeah. That was a pretty good tune in the 80s, if I remember correctly. Yes, smooth criminal. Very good. All right.
Yeah, well, I'm a child of the 80s.
Yes, you and me both, buddy. You and me both. I wish I still had my parachute pants. Not that they'd even fit on one of my legs, but yeah, I wish I had them. All right, so we're gonna play some
I'm glad I
5e.
don't remember the 80s.
What's that? You don't remember the 80s?
I'm so glad I don't remember the 80s.
Yeah, that's kind of like the late
I was
90s
4 when they ended, so.
or the early 90s. Oh, okay, enough of that nonsense. I think you were probably born the year I graduated high school, so that's lovely. Very nice. All right, so we're gonna play some D&D 5e. It's all theater of the mind. House rules are pretty simple. If you crit, you get your full damage plus another damage die. We roll real dice here, and again, theater of the mind. So we try to give you some good descriptions of what's going on. Last week, the party kind of got dispatched on a little side job. A couple of the locals, what's his name here? Fundor. Sorry about that. Fundor Ironhand and his mining partner Kelvin came bursting into the Stonehill Tavern scratched and clawed and looking a little worse for wear, and telling the party that some orcs had kind of jumped their claim. They have a small little mining and panning operation up in the foothills of the Sword Mountains, and they needed some help running these orcs off. And so the party agreed, supported by a bounty from Townmaster Harbin Wester. He offered 10 gold pieces per orc ear returned, should the party be successful in running them off or killing them or whatever. And so the party did just that. They went out to the Frothing Beard claim, with a large number of acres, probably 40, 50 or more, all kind of split rail fenced out in the kind of the rocky foothills of the Sword Mountains. And in fact, there were 5 orcs and an orc, Eye of Grumsh, that had kind of taken over the outbuilding. And the party was successful in outwitting and getting the jump on the orcs and putting an end to the pillaging in the recently established residence. And in their gratitude, Fundor actually and Kelvin actually gave them each a nice tourmaline uncut gemstone. What were they, about 50 gold each? Was that right? And he thought maybe if you could get those cut, it might be worth more than 100. So, and then they took the ears back to Phandalin and collected their bounty from Townmaster Harbin Wester. And so we find our party. The scene opens this evening. 24 flame rule. It's fairly late. It's been a long day. Killing orcs is no simple task at 3rd level, right? Especially an Eye of Grumsh. But thankfully, good triumphed over evil, and they find themselves back in the Stonehill Inn and Tavern, or Stonehill Tavern and Inn, I'm not sure which. And they're waiting for the townmaster to come by. He said he would bring a visitor and talk to the party about possibly engaging them in another bit of work. And so that's where we will open our session, in the tap room at the Stonehill Tavern with the party. It's a fairly quiet night. The sun has set, so it's after 9, probably even after 10. There's a handful of regulars in the tap room. Fundor, Ironhand, and Kelvin elected to stay back at their claim to kind of get the fencing repaired after the orcs came through and all of that. So it's they are not in the tap room, but yeah, there's the usual crowd of probably 3/4 of the tables are full. There's a pretty good buzz. A lot of folks talking about your group, as a matter of fact, and the heroes that you're starting to become, and you're kind of becoming pretty well known there in the little town of Phandalin. So what would you like to do?
Well, I think.
Go ahead.
I think Ethan would try to get to his table, his normal table.
Yeah.
If that's open.
Yep. You may do so.
He'd sit down. Yep.
Yeah.
Just
So
to see if there was anyone interesting, unusual.
nobody out of the ordinary, just the usual folks. The elven female who Solana had befriended is at the bar. Cielo River Song, if you recall. And that's about the only person you recognize, other than just regular, Phandalin folk.
Lulu is currently snout deep in a bowl of chili.
Nice. Yeah, your eyes are watering, Lulu. You got the sniffles, man. It's that batch that you put together for. Who did you make that for? Oh, when Jacob arrived.
Jacob.
At the party, yeah. So it's that nice hot batch of what do we call that? Dragon breath chili, right? Yeah. And
Yeah, but hey, whatever it takes to feel more like a dragon is cool in her book.
right. Yeah, I'm feeling it.
Just leaning back in her seat, watching that. Mildly amused.
You see Toblin working the room, hustling and bustling with a couple of his staff members, and he comes over to your table. Ah, well, good evening, friends. Good evening. Welcome back. Good to see that you were able to help out old Fundor, excuse me, and Kelvin. What can I get for you all this evening? And he kind of smiles and kind of winks at Lulu as she's already got chili, dripping from her muzzle and just happy as can be. I presume ales all around?
Jacob will ask if they have anything stronger than wine, like in the spirits category.
Oh, why, yes, of course. Anything in particular you like? We have a number of distilled
Something
spirits, yes.
smooth.
All right, very well. We have that. Do you like your spirits sweet or more earthy, or do you like them with a little bite?
A little bite sounds interesting.
Smooth and with a bite, yes. Let me see what I can scrounge. Very
Maybe
well.
a bit
And
of cheese and some bread.
very well. Charcuterie it is. Ezralyn, your usual ale?
And stew too, if you have it.
Ah, very well, yes. We do. And you, boy, he smiles at Ethan. What do you foresee enjoying this evening? And he kind of winks at you, pleased with his joke.
I think ale will be sufficient.
Nothing to eat?
Oh, I'll bring some extra bread and cheese. That would be good.
Very well. Lulu, water to drink, I presume?
Have milk available?
Oh, of course, yes. We'll bring that right away. I forgot about the chili. Yes, okay. Very well. And he dodders off and hustles back behind the bar and into the kitchen to place your orders.
In the meantime, while we're waiting, Jacob is going to be taking out a pipe, a long, small clay affair, and packing it up with a bit of pipe weed and striking a stick and lighting that up and just putting his feet up and relaxing a bit.
Okay. After just a couple minutes, he comes back with a platter that has a couple of small loaves of crusty bread already cut, and a selection of 4 different cheeses, all the way from white to a kind of a dark orange. They're all kind of hard cheeses. They've been cut into slices, and he puts it on the table, and he sets a small, just a little metal tin cup in front of you, Jacob, and he smiles and he says, "This is a spirit from a small still up near Mount Hotono, north of Neverwinter. It's called Pine Breeches.
I'm saying.
I think you'll enjoy
Nice.
it." And he puts an ale in front of Ethan and an ale in front of Ezralyn. Ezralyn, I'll be back with your stew. It's just about done. And he sets a milk in front of Lulu and kind of pats her on the head and hands her a few extra napkins, noticing the coating of chili on her muzzle and down kind of the front of whatever she's wearing and on the table and so forth. Yes.
Her muzzle's down the milk.
Well, I wonder what job the town master has for us.
Find out, considering what the man is like. But he doesn't done us wrong yet.
No, so far he hasn't. He's going to probably ask us about whether we're going to form that group. Charter, I think he calls it.
It's true, we are all here. Lulu, Ethan came up with a name. What do you think of it? The Looming Eye.
Luna like.
You like? Perfect. I'm in favor. Ethan's in favor. about you, Jacob? You're amongst us now.
Am I? Well, that's lovely. I think that's fine.
One of the younger serving folk come out and kind of give a half bow to Ezralin, set the big bowl of piping hot stew, big chunks of beef in there, still actually kind of still bubbling like it's fresh out of the big iron pot. Large chunks of potatoes, looks like maybe turnips, carrots, cooked onion. It's in a very thick, dark broth. There's even some small tomatoes that have been cooked in it that are all, you know how they get all wrinkly and mushy when you cook them in a wet liquid, with the skin on. They kind of pop when you eat them. They're small, almost like cherry tomatoes. He sets a wooden spoon down. Fresh stew, miss. And then he comes over to Ethan and Jacob. Is the cheese and bread to your liking, masters?
Well, I'm nobody's master, but yes, it's absolutely delicious.
All right. Will there be anything else? Seems very eager to please.
I don't believe so.
Okay. Well, I'll be around, so just let me know if I can get you more drinks or whatever you need. Lulu, are you done with your chili? He kind of smiles at you.
Lulu has pulled her muzzle from the milk and back in the chili.
Okay, she's still going to the chili. Very nice, very nice. I'll come back and get that later, I think. He kind of looks at you funny and kind of steps back, not wanting to be bitten or snapped at or whatever could possibly happen when a serving professional gets between a kobold and her chili.
We'll have to ask him, I think, what we get out of this charter other than sort of first dibs on the work.
Look at it as well to make sure we're able to refuse jobs from him. Or from anyone as well. We're not under absolute obligation to serve him.
Right.
But I'm just parent, so.
No, that's wise, I think. I was thinking of some money for being available.
Mm-hmm.
But you know these things better than I.
Not really. I was usually just the one doing the enforcing, not the negotiating.
Well, you've at least served in one before.
Close enough. Do you think we're missing anything when we're considering all this?
Nothing that I can think of.
Depends on whether or not you're being hustled or you're the hustler.
Yeah, that's the important part.
So as you enjoy your beverages, Jacob, the spirit you've been given has a bit of a piney finish, and some heat at the start. Definitely a little bite, but it's very smooth and tasty. And it's got to be, at least 80 proof. It's a pretty good distilled spirit.
So it hasn't been aged much.
No, this is not some kind of single malt aged, scotch. It's more of a very potent mountain gin. It's got that piney, junipery kind of finish, like you'd expect from a nice Tanqueray or something.
Well, you'll just sit back and enjoy this.
Yeah, it's a sipping drink. I mean, unless you have a purpose, and then it might be just a shooter. But if you're just relaxing, it's a sipping.
Well, in the right company, it could be a fireball.
Yeah. In fact, you're confident that if you got open flame near it, it could ignite. It definitely has some when you hold that small tin cup, and it's only maybe 3 fingers high in the cup, and the fumes, man, they hit you as soon as you get that thing up to your face. Yeah.
It's gonna last him the night. That's for sure.
All right. So after a bit of time enjoying your meal and your conversation, in through the door, as promised, comes the townmaster, Harbin Wester. And with him is a startlingly large man, dark-skinned fellow, muscled well, wearing leather, or not leather, but kind of like canvasy sort of work breeches, a tunic. Seems like he's dressed rather warmly for this time of year. The kind of man who, he's kind of got gray curly hair, but his top of his head is bald. He's got some stubble. He looks scarred, and like his fingers have been used for years as tools, and rugged looking fellow. And they approach the table, and Townmaster smiles. Here are the heroes now. Good to see everyone. How's your evening? I hope still good.
Indeed.
It's been relatively orc-free so far.
Then all's well. Very nice, very nice. I'd like to introduce you to my friend. And he looks at this giant of a man. Don John Raskin is his name. Good evening, everyone. How are you? And he's incredibly, just immediately, he's like calm and well-spoken. Like you might have expected this kind of knuckle-dragging, Good evening, everyone. Kind of think, like Billy D. Williams, kind of, smooth. Welcome. I mean, hello. Jeez. And he pulls up a chair and spins it around and sits backwards in the chair facing you and just kind of regards you. And he looks over at the townmaster. This is the group you told me about. The folks that are going to get me out to the Mountain Toe gold mine, right? Oh, yes, indeed. These are the heroes that I told you all about. You'll be more than safe in their company, I assure you. Well, I really don't need escorts, but okay, since the company insists. And he looks over and he flags down the half-elven server, Dimri, if you remember from last time you were in the inn. And he points at Ezra. I'll have that ale there, please. And anyone else needs a refill, please see to it that they're taken care of. I'll pick it up. And Dimri, yes, right away, master. And steps lively to replenish the beverages. So, heroes, how came you by this moniker? And he kind of looks around like, heroes here?
I personally wouldn't call myself that.
Humble heroes, then. Must be some good with...
It's not a title that I shy away from.
Not-
I'll accept that title.
Not entirely humble heroes, then. He kind of smirks. You must be the caster. Not surprised. Given your frail frame and all, I would have expected nothing less.
Well, this frail frame drove a chimera into a ceiling hole.
He kind of regards you. Impressive. Was it alive?
At the time it was. Its condition now, I couldn't tell you.
I see.
He also walked through a battle with orcs with a javelin stuck in his thigh.
Well,
Very brave.
most impressive. What about you, little one? And he looks at Lulu as she, I assume she just continues to eat, even though there's been a guest introduced at the table.
Of course.
He kind of scratches you behind your ear. Are you a hero also, little one? Oh.
Yeah.
Very well. And you, Master Halfling, what do you bring to the table? And he leans over and, besides a wonderful spirit, pine breeches, if I'm not mistaken.
Seems to be first time trying it. Very
What do you,
nice.
what do you think?
Would you like some?
No, I've had enough of that in my day. I want to be bright and ready to roll first thing at sunup. I presume that'll be the arrangement. And the townmaster kind of nods and sits back, kind of pleased with himself.
And where are we escorting you?
He kind of gives Wester an eyeball, kind of the hairy eyeball, like, you didn't tell them? Oh no, I thought you might be the best one to explain the arrangement. Well, seems that I'm to find my way to the Mountain's Toe gold mine. It's, I believe it's about 15 miles kind of northeast of here in the foothills of the Sword Mountains. Seems the owners of the mine from up, it's a business consortium up in Neverwinter. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Neverwinter, but a city north of here, out on the Sword Coast. That's where I hail from. But they've had some productivity issues with the mine, and they sent me down as the new overseer to straighten things out. And I mean to do just that. And I don't know what all the fuss is about needing an escort or whatever, but it's their gold coin that's paying you, not mine. Or I wouldn't bother you.
Why did they think you need an escort?
Your question, or your guess, excuse me, is as good as mine. And he takes the ale off the tray, and drops 3 gold. He kind of looks around the table and drops 3 gold, and Dimry's eyes light up. Oh, I'll bring you back your coin. And he's no, boy, you just keep that. And Dimry excitedly wanders back through the crowd. You're getting a lot of looks from some of the locals. Clearly, Don John Raskin is new to the area, based on the looks he's getting from the, just the looks of curiosity from the regulars. I'm not sure why they insist on escorting me. I mean, do I look like I'm going to be a danger to myself, or, for that matter, in any danger? I mean, I made it all the way down here from Neverwinter. Not sure what the last 15 miles are going to be like, but I'm sure I could handle it. And the townmaster kind of smirks, hears Ezra and looks at her and smiles. Yes.
This is for the DM. Is he well known? Does he have any renown, anything like that?
Roll a history.
With Ezra's circles.
Yeah, roll a history.
Her, would she know him?
Yeah, that's a good question. Roll me a history.
That comes to an 18.
18. All right. I'm going to hit you in Zoom while we continue to role play.
Okay. Eris is leaning back. She's got her arms crossed, and she just looks like she's thinking.
So, who works the mine?
Oh, it's a bunch of dwarves up there, of course. Wouldn't have it any other way. When you need miners, you think first of the stout mountain folk, and there's a group of them up there mining gold. But again, there's been some production issues, and they want me to get up there and straighten things out.
And these miners, are they compensated miners?
Oh, yes, a professional operation. Yes, like I said, it's an investment group, a consortium in Neverwinter that owns and operates the mine. And I have a feeling that we'll probably have to make a few changes, personnel and the like, and probably have to clean up some processes and, who knows what. But, yeah, so Here I am. And the town master kind of leans in. Well, you see, with all of the rumor of the dragon and the like, I'm sure that's probably why they wanted you to have some extra assistance getting to the mine safely, given the investment they have there and the investment I'm sure they're making in a man of your stature and experience. And Don John kind of looks at the town master and looks at you guys and looks at the town master, and he kind of looks back and rolls his eyes. Yeah, I'm sure that's it. Expertise and investments. Yeah. White dragon, you say, huh? Is that a real thing? Or just a wives' tale they tell to keep the children in at night? And he kind of looks around.
It's been cited several times.
Oh, has it? Here in, what is this? Fandolin? That, yeah. He kind of looks at
They
you.
say it's been seen in Fandolin.
I see. Well, that certainly is a concern, but when was this? When was it seen?
Oh, maybe a week ago. Actually, it may have made a second appearance, maybe a couple days ago.
Interesting. Well,
I haven't seen it either time, but I'm told that it's been spotted.
just the same. I suppose it's good to be safe. He's got kind of a leather, outback kind of a hat. Looks like he's got some teeth that are kind of tied to it with some kind of banding, teeth or fangs or something, and got an earring. He's got a big claw on a leather thong around his neck. Just looks like an outdoor, kind of rough and ready sort of fellow.
So, Crocodile Dundee, basically.
Yeah, that's probably a decent image to fix in your mind.
Without the accent.
Crocky.
Mikey.
So, would be best if we could leave at dawn. Just want to get on up there. I understand it'll probably take us most of the day. We'll be up there by supper time if we get on the road. That should work just fine.
I think
So,
that's fine.
Wester, Kayla will be right back. Her computer died, so we'll just leave the cameras where they're at. So, there's some compensation involved. I believe my company is offering 100 gold to the group if you decide to escort me and get me safely to the mine. If that meets your approval, then I say we raise a glass. And he lifts up his tankard. And the town master
Jacob hoists his tin cup.
kind of sits and watches. He gives you a hefty cheers and slurps a little ale on your hand. Well met. What say you, boy? And he looks over at Ethan.
I'll raise my tankard. I think that's fine.
Well, very well. Then you know the arrangement. I'll have your gold for you when you arrive, having safely escorted Mr. Raskin up to the mine. If you just head to the northeast, straight at the mountains, you'll reach there. There's a track that runs straight up there from some of the dwarves. Occasionally would come into town. We haven't seen them recently, but they've numbers of them have been in town to resupply and other things that one does when one has some time away from the mine, I suppose.
When you say productivity has fallen, has Has there been any contact from these dwarves in the mine?
Oh, not recently, but there isn't usually. Gold shows up in Neverwinter, and payment shows up in the mine, and the problem is that we haven't seen as much gold as we believe there should be.
So gold is still coming to you. It hasn't dried up entirely.
No, but it's less frequent and less smaller quantity, I suppose.
Well, I think we can meet here and leave at dawn. We can do that.
Yes, very well. I have a room, so I will see you here in the tap room at dawn.
At dawn. Cheers.
He raises the tankard one more time. Well, if you'll excuse me, I would like to go up and get some rest, get cleaned up, and ready my things for our journey. And he stands and kind of nods, regards you all, looks each of you firmly and confidently in the eye. You see he has a sling hanging from his right hip. You can see a couple of daggers, one on a hip, one down kind of on his calf. So he steps away and takes his leave and heads upstairs presumably to his room. So, what do you think of old Don John?
I've heard of him before.
Oh, really?
Not personally, but I know of him. He's hired a few companies before, mercenary groups.
Oh.
He pays his bills.
Hmm.
Hasn't said anyone's intentionally some sort of suicide mission, that sort of thing. He's fairly responsible. I'm not against escorting him somewhere.
Well, that's good information. I'm not particularly fond of suicide missions, so that's good news.
I wonder, while I have you all here, have you given any more thought to my proposition that we might come to some agreement for your services on behalf of the town of Phandalin?
Well, I think we have some interest in doing that, assuming we can agree on the terms of that.
Oh, well, of course, yes. What I had in mind, and he kind of leans in like he doesn't really want to have the whole place listening to his conversation. He takes a sip of his wine, takes a slice of bread, puts a piece of cheese on it, eats it thoughtfully. What I had in mind is to have you on a retainer of sorts. You'd be somewhat beholden to the town in that if you're in town and available and there's a need for your services, we would give you first, I suppose the right term is the right of first refusal for any work. You'd have the first opportunity to take jobs and the like. But we'd have you on a bit of a retainer in that should a desperate need arise, we would be able to call upon you for that. You'd be compensated for every job. And the retainer, I would offer you 10 gold apiece per month to put you on that retainer. You would be free to move about the region, the area, leave Phandalin. Just let me know so that I can make arrangements if a need arises.
And when you say urgent need, well, what kind of urgent need?
Oh, you know, and he kind of looks around, like if a white dragon might find its way here, and you were here, or nearby, I might lean upon you for some help with that. That might be an example. Perhaps, some raiding orcs come down from the mountains, or a troll or two, or whatever sort of thing. We've had our troubles over the years, but none too frequently. Seems like it's been more lately since this white dragon has settled in. He kind of looks in the direction of the Sword Mountains.
Well, I'm certainly interested in the proposition.
The fees for work performed would be per job, as they have been so far. I think that's worked nicely, don't you? At least I hope you feel that you've been compensated equitably and treated fairly and kindly.
Well, I don't have any complaints so far.
He kind of studies each party member. He's clearly trying to kind of get a read on your reaction to his terms.
I think it should be put across that we are not going to be a city guard or a town guard. We do not have those expectations on us. I take no oath beyond that of my contract to protect this town. I will not stand this town if there's no hope of getting out.
Oh no, that seems fair. Your services may be needed to help us evacuate, should such a thing drive us to that point. And I'm not looking to hire law enforcement per se. I have resources where that's concerned for drunkards and things of that ilk. I'm more concerned for the random evil, something awful, intruder, white dragon. That's what I can think of off the top of my head. But hopefully that's there won't be much need for your emergency services along those lines. But when we need work performed, such as what you've been doing, retrieving the gnomes from Nomengard, and for instance, looking into this mine overseer, seeing him up there safe, that should be the easiest 100 gold you've ever earned. I mean, unless, of course, the dragon were to somehow come between you and the mine, which would be unfortunate, of course, but just as a hypothetical. He kind of sits back and takes a deep breath and drinks his wine. He has this look on his face, almost like, Harbin, shut up. Like he's caught himself talking too much.
As long as we're clear on that, I'm fine.
Does he sound like he's trying to con us into anything?
Roll an insight.
Yeah. Probably the gin talking, but an 8.
You rolled an 8?
Yeah.
Yeah, he seems on the up and up. He's making eye contact. He's not fidgeting. He seems on the up and up. I know this is Jacob's really first business dealing with this guy, aside from the quick offer of the 10 gold per orc year yesterday or earlier today.
Yeah, I think we could have taken him for more. Well, Jacob's just going to be sitting there relaxing, smoking his pipe and drinking his gin. Taking it all in.
Well, I'm satisfied with what I've heard.
He kind of looks at Lulu, Ezralin, Jacob. What say you?
You okay with it, Lulu?
I don't think Lulu would say it out loud, but she has no trust in him. So she's just kind of staring at her chili and not looking at him at all, and kind of ignoring the conversation.
So, Townmaster Wester,
Yes, my good man.
does this oblige us to the town? Or is this just the retainer ends if we perhaps move off to other locales?
Oh, indeed.
We're not
No,
obliged to stay here for any
no,
extended
I would not. This is not indentured servitude or some lifelong agreement, and we would want the same escape clause should something that we dislike occur and wish to be parted ways. It's an at-will arrangement. By all means, hold up your end of the contract for as long as you like, and we'll do the same.
Delightful.
Yes. And of course, you'll have to
Not much to.
think of a name for your, because you're officially a company or a charter organization. So you'll need a name that we can put in the record.
I think we have a name.
Oh,
Eye of the Beholder.
I wish that was the name.
he looks at you. Is that your name?
No, the name is the Looming Eye.
Oh.
50% there.
He kind of leans back and swirls his wine cup. Kind of looks off. The looming eye, you say?
Yes.
Then it is done. The
Like
company
it, don't you?
of the looming eye. I like its intrigue. Little sense of foreboding. And I see what you've done. And you can see he kind of mentally congratulates himself on the double pun there. I see what you've done with the eye and the foreseeing of the future and the, yes, well, he kind of looks in his wine glass wistfully as it seems to have emptied itself. So then, I will draw the papers, and when you return from your little trip to the Mountain Toe gold mine with Mr. Raskin, well, we'll make everything official and get you payment on your first month's retainer.
That sounds good to
How
me.
exciting. We have our very own heroes. Phandalin heroes. Very nice. The Looming Eye. The company of the Looming. And he kind of sits and repeats it a couple times.
It's at this point that Jacob wishes he had some spell slots because a silent spell would probably work real well right now.
I really was starting to growl and annoying beside him.
What's that?
Lulu was starting to growl in annoyance at him. Just,
Izerlin will just kind of reach over and pat her back gently.
Well, my glass has gone empty, and you all look tired. It's been a long day, so I will take my leave. And he kind of stands up and bows graciously as he's prone to do. Clearly, this wasn't his first cup of wine this evening.
As
And-
he's leaving,
Yes.
I'm going to use thaumaturgy to try to create an isolated sound near him that sounds loud enough to sound like a dragon roar.
yeah.
And see how fast he moves.
Okay. Okay. That sounds exciting. Just kind of like right behind him or something, or
Right behind him, it's the effect of that it's far away sounding, but it's just around him so that he's largely the only one that hears it.
right?
If you need, I can make a performance check.
No, you don't need to
Jacob
do
and
that
Lulu
with
were
the.
meant to be.
Yeah, you don't need to do that with a spell. Yeah, so he goes walking, and as he gets to the door and pulls it open, you see him like stop and tense up and look. and the blood is run from his face. And he looks back at the tap room, and everybody's just talking and clinking glasses. There's a musician at the hearth, playing a little panpipey thing, and someone's reciting a ballad, a tale of whatever, and he stops and he peers out the door, and he quickly shuts the door and disappears into the night.
Jacob has been watching this, gestures as he's looking around with his pipe and nods at him. And then when he slams the door and runs off, laughs his ass off. In fact, ends up on the floor with his pipe in hand, giggling in tremendous glee.
Nice.
He's certainly high-strung, isn't he?
He grows on you. After a while, he's not as bad as he was when we first met him.
I knew a druid once who said that about fungus.
Fungus among us.
All right, so you all are going to be a chartered adventuring party in Phandalin. Very nice.
Big money.
Big money, yeah. 10 gold a month.
Gold a month and all the booze you can drink.
Dimry comes to the table and collects the townmaster's wine cup and the empty tankard from Don John Raskin. And would there be anything else I could get for you? Another ale, perhaps another pine breeches? And he smiles at Jacob.
Jacob just politely declines. His cup is still half full. He hasn't been drinking heavily.
Yeah.
Just wanted something to relax with. This is probably a little more potent than he was looking for, but it's all good.
It's smooth and tasty, but yeah, there's definitely some fumes going on there. Got a little punch, yeah. He looks at Lulu. Miss Lulu, are you done with your chili now? He asks kind of meekly.
Lulu licks off a big portion of chili because that's been on her nose for a while. Lulu done, but can Lulu have bowl to go?
Oh, yes, right away. I'll get your usual container. And he kind of smiles. Very well. I'll have it out here in just a moment. He clears away your dishes. Takes, I presume, Ezra's done with her stew. He clears that away. And
as he's doing this, Jacob's going to remark, it would be really interesting if you could just take a small bread, cut the top off and hollow it out and put the chili inside the bread. And then you could take it with you and put the top on and it would stay warm and you could eat the whole thing.
Lulu just stares at him for a minute, her eyes going wide as Saucer's that amazing idea.
Dimry kind of looks suspiciously at the halfling. And then he sees Lulu's enthusiasm. Yes, Lulu, right away. And he turns and steps off to the kitchen. And thus the bread soup bowl was invented. Nice.
Chili bowl. Hey, I didn't get to the part where we're grating some cheese on top. Got to have cheese on top.
Yeah.
Man, yeah.
Lulu already drool enough. Stop.
Okay, so after a few minutes, he comes out, and Toblin's with him. And Toblin looks at the group. He hands and it's kind of a roundish loaf. And you can see that the top has been cut. There's some chili sploop, Now, Miss Lulu, be careful. Don't spill it. It's very hot. Hold the lid on. And Toblin, whose idea was the bread bowl?
Jacob's just hiding behind his tin cup full of gin and smiling slightly.
He doesn't have a clue.
Lulu, friend idea.
Ah, Jacob. Well, Have you seen this anywhere before? Or did you just come up with that?
A moment's inspiration.
Well,
Surely one can have.
what would you say if I offered you a shiny platinum piece for the right to claim that idea as the Stonehill Bowl of Dragonfire?
I say this. The idea is all yours, no platinum needed. But thank you for thinking.
Well, your room will be on the house tonight. How's that?
I was hoping it would be in the house.
That it'll be in the house on the. Yep. And he kind of stammers and, yes, of course, yes, in the house for free. Dragon Bowl of Dragon's Fire. I like, and he kind of walks away, scratching his. All right. What would you like to do?
Long rest.
Yep.
Need spell slots.
Yeah. So you all decide to retire for the evening?
Yep.
Very well. You may do so.
Lulu takes the bowl, the bread bowl of magicalness, and carries it home with her for her breakfast.
Nice. He's just delighted at your culinary thoughtfulness. All right. So why don't we make sure everybody takes a long rest by whatever means you indicate that on your character sheet or D&D Beyond, however. But all spell slots, all the healing, all that good stuff is all set. And we will fast forward to very, very early the following morning. 25 Flame Rule dawns bright and clear. And as promised, Don John Raskin is standing at the bar with a stoneware mug of coffee, awaiting everybody's arrival.
Jacob will be late, not hungover, just a halfling who likes his creature comforts, including a nice long nap.
Okay.
But not too late that he can't get breakfast.
Ezra will be there. She'll acknowledge him as he walks by, just give him a nod, but she'll probably go over to either to a different table or over to the bar.
Okay.
For the time being, just get breakfast.
Yep.
Nothing standard, nothing big.
Yep. And Toblin has started putting out like rolls, sweet rolls, breads, cheeses, sweetbreads on the bar. And he has just a little card on some heavier stock that says, help yourself. There's some dried meats. There's coffee there. You don't see him anywhere.
Jacob will make a sandwich of the buns and dried meat, pack a couple away in his hip bag to eat later, and then start getting himself some breakfast together.
Second breakfasts. Yeah.
Absolutely. And thirds.
Yeah, and when Ethan comes down, he'll take some coffee
Okay.
from the bar.
Very nice. Bryphon will escort Lulu back up to the tavern in the very dark of the clear morning. And so you'll see them enter. And they actually come out of the kitchen into the tap room.
Tobin,
What's that?
she's calling for Toblin.
You don't. He's not there. You don't see him around.
Um, Lulu can write, I'm sure, right?
Oh yeah.
Lulu writes a quick note on a napkin, I guess, about how amazing the bread bowl idea was, and that it needs to be a thing.
Okay. Bowl of Dragonfire it is.
Dragon fire bomb.
Hey.
Don John will step up to the bar, set down his coffee, empty coffee mug. Well, good morning. Good to see everyone. I presume everybody's ready to hit the trail up to the Gold Toe? Or Mountain's Toe, whatever it's called. I don't even remember the name of the damn thing.
So I think we're ready.
All right, well, we should make our way. If we can skirt the hills. If you recall, Phandalin, in fact, I'll put up the map here. Phandalin is at the very southwest edge of a line of hills that extends kind of west out of the Sword Mountains. This will show up on stream here in a minute. You're going to be heading kind of northeast, skirting the hills. And the mine is right at the start of the proper mountains, about 15-mile hike. I don't know if any of you can see that on stream yet.
Yeah, I can see it.
So he steps outside, kind of stretches, adjusts his hat, looks around. Beautiful morning for a trip. I'm sure it'll be uneventful, as long as we don't run across any white dragons. He kind of chuckles. So is everybody ready?
I'm ready.
Very well. After you, whoever's going to lead.
Zero lead the way.
Okay.
I'll fall in behind her.
I'll invite before I go. I'll invite Lulu to get up on my shoulder if she wants to.
Yeah. She will oblige happily.
He has a large pack on his back. Has his sling, the two daggers that you saw. So, Ezralyn, you're from Neverwinter. Recognize the way you speak. What, you up there your whole life?
No. I used to pass through Neverwinter a lot, but I'm from 10 Towns.
10 Towns.
I did spend quite a bit of time in Neverwinter.
See. Boy, it's been many a year since I've been all the way up to 10 Towns. Used to do some fur trading up there. Used to bring back that, what do they call that? That
Scrimshaw.
Yes, the whale bones. Yes, we used to sell a good bit of that whale bone. But we could never sell it up there. They like to work in their own material out of that small sea or that big lake that's up there. What's that called? It's been so long.
I don't remember. Shit.
Oh, it'll come to me here in a minute. As soon as I look through D&D Beyond.
Do the same thing.
Well, at any rate, they don't like the they like their own whalebone up there. I'm not sure what's so damn special about it, but boy, the way they carve it, huh? So what did you do up there?
I left when I was 12. I was my father was a blacksmith. I've been on the road since, mercenary work mostly.
I see. Thought you had the balance of a warrior. Very well. Kind of turns and looks at Ethan. What of you, boy? Besides a caster of sorts, what are you all about?
Not much to tell, I'm afraid.
Well, you must certainly have some purpose or value.
Oh, I have value and purpose. But you are correct, I'm a caster. I hail from Waterdeep. Found my way to Phandalin.
Used to sail out of Waterdeep. Killed one of the biggest whales on record, not far west of Waterdeep. Perhaps you've heard of me.
Perhaps. Have I?
Done a
I
fair
didn't
bit
get
of
out much in Waterdeep.
done a fair bit of prospecting as well. Of course, not in Waterdeep, but mining's really kind of in my blood. Mining and overseeing, and I'm good at running things, getting the most out of things, operation, people.
Well, I have no such skills. I'm just a
I could see that in you.
caster that dabbles in the arcane.
Well, I'm sure you.
Ezra kind of give John a look, but in the process she'll also slap Ethan on the back of the shoulder and say he's one of the best casters I've worked with in a lot of years.
Oh.
And it wasn't a gentle smack, so Ethan probably stumbles.
Yeah. Well, that's high praise coming from a traveled mercenary from 10 towns. And what about you there, wee halfling?
I'm just here to tend to the flock.
By flock, I suppose you mean your friends.
The faithful.
So,
His eyes are twinkling.
that must mean you're a priest.
If one needs to be pigeonholed into boxes like that.
Well, it helps me sort things out. Kind of like to know who I'm traveling with in case we run into any undesirable encounters, situations. And what
Yes,
about you there, wee
I
little
will heal you.
little kobold? And he kind of scritches Lulu's chin very pleasantly.
She resists the urge to bite him. Stranger danger.
Stranger danger.
She'll pull her head away and bare her teeth a bit at him.
Goodness. Feisty one, aren't you? That's a mighty fine spear you have there. Where did you get that?
Lulu, no, remember. I don't know what happened. I don't know where it came from.
That's the spear that the orc, the Eye of Grumsh, was wielding.
Oh, I wasn't part of that battle, so I don't. Okay.
Yeah. You were there in character, but not in person, and that's okay.
Lulu got from orc battle.
Well, it's a fine weapon. So you've been on the road 4 or 5 hours. You have on your right, you can see the hills kind of marching up into the mountains. Hey, Rebecca, you got some crazy noise going on there, buddy. Sound like you're in a windstorm. But yeah, you've got the hills to your right, grasslands to your left, and the trail just skirts right along the base of the hills. And they're the same kind of topography that you've seen, very scrubby, rocky hills. Not unlike the ground that you were in when you dealt with Fundor and the orcs and Kelvin. But there's kind of a low ridge rises to your right as the hills get a little steeper, beyond which you can see the Sword Mountains just scrape the sky. As you're walking along, you notice something is kind of strewn about the road or the ground, the trail, 80, 90 feet ahead of you. And Don John points ahead. Well, and that's something. And as you get a little closer, you see their bodies.
Bodies.
Yeah.
Sword is out.
Yeah, there's bodies kind of strewn about. You can make that out from probably about 20 feet away.
Like human bodies?
No, actually. Roll perception.
Roll perception. Let's see. So Ethan got a 14.
Okay.
21 for Jacob.
12.
There's 6 orcs. Deceased orcs. At least they appear to be deceased. None of them are moving. They look kind of stiff. As you approach, they're wearing, hide armor, kind of like what you saw with the groups you dealt with at the Frothy Beard claim. There are great axes and javelins scattered about on the ground. A couple of the javelins have been broken. One of the axes is notched.
Do they have visible wounds? Can we tell what killed them?
Roll a wisdom medicine check.
Medicine. I'm sure that'll be fine. I got to 13.
Okay. Yeah, so you kind of look at these bodies, and it's pretty clear to you that some extreme cold ended these orcs. Probably 3 days ago, 3.5 days ago.
I believe this may have been our dragon friends doing.
Well, it certainly would appear to be so, wouldn't it? Don John says. Kind of poking around, he picks up one of the javelins, rolls the orc over, and you can see kind of frostburn. Pretty evident what happened here. He kind of looks around, almost like expecting to see, a dragon circling. But much to your delight, no such dragon is visible.
Well,
I definitely think we should keep an eye out from now.
yes, it could be nearby.
Keep our weapons at the ready just in case, and an eye out for cover if we need it.
Okay. Fair enough. Anything else you want to do there?
I'll go through the things too, of course.
Okay. Yeah.
Anything valuable.
Some, teeth, bones, stuff like that. You do see these orcs. I'm trying to remember there was like a tribal bit that the orcs that you dealt with the mine here yesterday. Same tribal imagery. And I don't remember what it was exactly, but they're either carrying totems or little orcish tchotchke, or even maybe something on a leather thong. One of them has a couple of ears that are all dried up. You're not sure what the hell those are from. Probably some humanoid. Could be human, could be goblin, could be elf. Hard telling. But these orcs look to probably be from the same tribe or clan that maybe the other ones were from, based on their totems. You do find 11 gold pieces. If someone wants to write treasure. The weapons are all, I wouldn't say crude, but they're not fine by any stretch. Nothing fancy there. There's also, between all the corpses, there's 67 silver. Well, these orcs were sure well off for orcs. Seems maybe they've been busy. Don John says.
There's been some consistent issues with them recently.
Really? In
They
town?
seem to.
Close.
Oh, okay. So you haven't had any trouble with them in Phandalin?
Have we?
I don't think so.
No.
Nearby.
It would take a major number of them to want to be so bold as to raid against a town the size of Phandalin, but they're orcs and they don't much care for folks like you and me.
I suspect the dragon has something to do with displacing them.
We're
Where's
seeing a lot of things come down out of the mountains.
is that where the dragon is? And up in the peaks? Probably would make sense. Up in the ice and snow. Yep. Now you're probably right. We should definitely. I guess we should be thankful we didn't run across these fellas. And maybe that dragon did us a favor. But obviously, we don't want to meet the same fate, so we best be on our lookout.
Yes, I think we should probably continue on.
Yeah, and as you say that, he's
It actually
already.
looks like he believes what's going on now.
What's that?
Sorry.
I didn't hear
It
what you said.
actually looks like he believes what's going on.
Yeah, you can roll insight if you like.
Or
Yeah, he's like, yeah, man, white dragon. Makes sense to me. And he starts heading up the trail. The one thing I will give you with a 4 is he definitely seems, anxious to get up there to the mine. You can tell by watching this guy. He's comfortable out in the wilderness, but he strikes you as the kind of guy that likes to be productive and be working on things and getting things done and making things happen and making other people make things happen. And he's kind of that kind of a personality. But he's shared with you several tales of his exploits as a prospector, as a whaler, as a miner, and each tale perhaps a little more grand than the last. But you do finally make your way to a small tunnel, kind of burrowing right into and you are now like at the foot of the mountains. This section, there are no real hills that take you up into the mountains. These mountains are right to the grasslands, and you're right at the foot of a large, imposing, snow-capped peak. And between some overgrown shrubs, junipers, and such kind of hanging over is a tunnel that burrows into the foot of this soaring peak. And above the tunnel is a wooden plank with the words "Mountain's Toe" carved into it in common. Well, this must be the place. And he's kind of looking around, kind of surveying. Well, I think we should go in. And he heads in. It's about a 10-foot wide tunnel. Excuse me. As soon as you get in, there's oil lanterns hanging, one on either side of the tunnel, lit, burning. So the tunnel is illuminated. It's about an 8-foot ceiling, and immediately it's exactly what you'd expect or what you've seen before if you've ever been in a mine. The walls of the tunnel have been hewn out. They're braced with wooden pilasters and beams. And he just walks right in like he owns the place. He goes in 40, 50 feet, and it opens into a kind of a cavern, a cave. And he strides right in. And again, about every 10, 12 feet, there are these oil lanterns that are hung. And it's just like a piton pounded into the rock, and the lantern is hanging there burning. You can see, on the floor, there's oil dripped where the lantern has been there. So you definitely tell there's been activity. Yes, Ethan.
I'm going to say, hey, Tim Tam, don't you find it unusual that there's no one at the entrance of a gold mine? Shouldn't there be someone to
He stops in the tunnel,
stop us from coming in and
turns
taking all
around.
the gold?
Well, we usually don't keep people out in the elements. I'm sure this first chamber up here will probably find some of these dwarves. But yeah, it doesn't look well maintained, and kind of has a weird sense to it, doesn't it? And he kind of turns around, walks into the cavern. And
We might want to be cautious.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, of course. And he walks into the cavern, and it's you're heading kind of southwest into the mountain face. And he walks into about a 30 by 30, very irregular shaped cavern. There's a door at either southwest end, kind of or southeast end. I'm sorry, you're headed southeast into the mountain. My apologies. There's a door in the south wall, and there's a door in the east wall. And these doors are made of wood. They have iron hinges and handles. Each door has a locking mechanism. But probably more interesting are the two individuals you see standing in the room. And I've revealed an image on the overlay. Hopefully everybody can see that, of what the two creatures look like standing there. And they kind of look at each other. They wear short swords. They each have a hand crossbow. Yes, Ethan?
Those are the ugliest dwarves I think I've ever seen.
They look at each other. They look at you. Yes, may we help you? What brings you to the mountain's toe? Why are you here? And each of them, their hand falls to the hilt of the short sword on their hips. You can see them kind of loosening the catch on the scabbard. And Don John, well, I'm here. Where are the dwarves? Who the hell are you? I'm here. I'm the new overseer. The company sent me down. And they kind of look at each other, and they look back at Don John, and they kind of look. Well, perhaps we should introduce you to Zeline, the overseer. And Don John, well, who's Zeline? And they look at each other. Well, let us escort you to her. I'm surprised you haven't heard of her, if you've spent much time in these parts. Zeline Farnaster.
Before we go anywhere,
Yes. Yes.
where are the dwarves?
They're in the mine. Come. And they open the door in the east wall, and it opens to a tunnel. More lanterns hanging. One of them steps through. The other one stands by the door and kind of motions. These creatures appear to be female. Don John kind of looks back at you, shrugs, looks a little confused. Well, I'm okay. I'm the new overseer, and so I think we should go see this Varnaster lady. And yeah, okay, seems odd.
While we're walking, I'm gonna take out a copper piece out of my pouch, my spell component pouch, and I'm gonna cast as inconspicuously as I can detect thoughts on
Okay.
one of the critters, and it says that for the duration of the spell, I can read the thoughts of certain creatures when you cast a spell, and as your action on each turn. You can focus your mind on any one creature that you can see within 30 feet of you. If the creature you choose has an intelligence of 3 or lower, or doesn't speak a language, it's not affected. You initially learn the surface thoughts of the creature, what is most on its mind in that moment. And as an action, I can shift my attention to another creature or probe deeper. So I'm gonna the one who's on, say, the left side.
Okay.
I want to know
Well, they're gonna.
its surface thoughts.
One is leading you in through the
Okay.
door. The other one waits for presumably for the party to come through and wishes to bring up the rear.
Okay.
So, which one would you like
so
to?
the leader, the one leading us.
Okay. Yeah. So, let me see what happens when I roll this d20. Because I got to do that.
You don't have to.
True that I don't, but I shall. And I have.
Seems more like you want to.
Is there a is there a DC on that, Ethan?
I don't believe there's a save for the initial probing. So if I
Okay,
probe
you're right.
deeper,
You're right.
the
You're right.
target must
That's
make
if you
a
go deeper.
wisdom
I apologize.
save. So I get the initial. I get another creature's thought. Let's see, what's most on its mind.
Yeah.
In the moment.
So this thing is nervous and surprised, and it's thinking what this Zelene Varnaster is going to do with this. Yeah. And it's kind of, almost like it's acting on orders. Like, okay, so visitors go to the overseer. So it's kind of fulfilling its duty or its orders. And it's surprised. It's mulling over this hulking man who claims to be the overseer when there clearly is already an overseer who leads this group.
I'm gonna. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say the party would. I was going to say the party would come through the tunnel. The remaining creature would close the door, and you're in about a 10-foot wide tunnel. And at about 20 feet, there's a tunnel that goes due north, which is left. You're headed due east. The tunnel continues on, and the leading creature leads you straight ahead and around a hard right turn. Go ahead.
As we're walking, I'm going to get the surface thoughts of the other one.
Okay. Very similar. This one's a little more on edge. It's kind of thinking like, okay, if these people try anything, what's my first, what should I do first? And it's calculating that probably needs to take out the half orc. Only because the overseer probably has value to them. Probably knows some things about this mine that might be helpful. So yeah, that back one is kind of plotting its, and it seems both of these creatures seem high functioning, pretty. You're probably like, whoa, okay, these things aren't stupid. Yeah, and so the tunnel takes this hard right, and you feel like you almost make a double back, kind of to the southwest, and then it bends left and straightens out, goes due south. The leading creature pulls the door open and opens it into a large chamber that's about, you're facing south, and it's about 30 feet across to the south wall, and west to east, it's about 60 feet. There's a large opening in the northeast corner that looks like maybe the chamber extends. And then there's a tunnel in the southwest and a tunnel in the southeast. And in this chamber, again, there's the oil lanterns are hung. Everything's lit pretty well. 8-foot ceilings. Again, all the pilasters and bracing that you would expect to see in a gold mine. There's dirt and small bits of rock and wood debris. It's not super clean by any stretch. Not that you'd expect it would be. And scattered about this cave are pickaxes, shovels, a couple of carts, some various mining tools. There are let's see, 5 of these other creatures. They're all male, and then one female, and she's seated on a chair behind a table, having a conversation. And all of the 5 males stand up, and she kind of leans back in her chair and gets this grin on her face. Come, bring our guests.
My spell, Scott. My spell lasts a minute.
Yep.
So I don't want to lose it. So I guess I want to probe deeper. Will it take us longer than a minute to get to this point?
I'll let you make a swing at your deeper probe, but it's because it's not a really long walk. You've only walked 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 feet to get to this chamber. And,
Okay.
You're being
Okay.
escorted purposefully, so it's not like, oh, look at the shiny rocks. Ooh, is there a chill in here? This leader is bringing you right to where they're bringing you. So I would say you can make a swing at a deeper probe. Who might you probe? And the leader leads
I
you
wanna
into
probe
to the cavern.
Yeah. So when we get into the cavern and I see the lady on the chair or throne or whatever, I want to. That's who I want to
Okay.
target.
So with her again, it starts with your any one creature that you can see. Okay, so I'm assuming you can switch it like you've been doing. The initial
Yeah,
thought
as an action, you can choose
is,
one.
how can I be rid of these strangers? She's sizing you up. She's wondering if you'll have to be killed. And a deeper thought, it's on if they're like the tension is high with this animal, or with this creature. She's concerned that you're there and wants to have you not be here as soon as possible, and is definitely seeing you all as a threat. Yeah, that's what you're getting.
Okay.
So she stands up. Please, welcome to Mountain's Toe. What brings you here? And Don John kind of steps forward, and you weren't, being touched or handled by they just escorted you back. Nobody's under arrest or, any of that. Don John steps forward, and the males kind of close around her a little bit, eyeing him. Everybody has short swords. Nothing is drawn. Yes, I'm the overseer here. I'm the new overseer. I've come to take over operations of this mine. It's been lacking production, shall we say. And you see a little bit different demeanor out of Don John. He's kind of a little more assertive, kind of snappy, almost ready to give some orders. Well, overseer, it seems we have a problem. This mine already has an overseer, and that would be me. And she looks you all over. And Don John kind of turns and looks at you. So, I think it might be best if you find your way out. My friends here will be more than happy to escort you. Roll perception. Anyone who would like to, please. And she is kind of in the center of the south wall. You all have been kind of brought in, and you're, across the table from her. Her 5, guys are kind of around, and then you've got the 2 females. So there's a total of 7 plus their leader. How did we do on perception?
19 for Jacob.
I got a 4.
Well,
Okay, so Jacob, you notice something moving in the shadows along the wall on the floor. It's probably the size of a small dog, and there's 4 of them, and it looks like, yes, and you feel a shiver go down your spine as you see 4 very large giant rats kind of scuttling about, sniffing around, rooting around. A couple of them stop at the feet of the males and look around, seemingly not bothered by the creatures standing there, and then go back to sniffing and poking around in the debris and amongst the tools and such.
Just as a matter of curiosity, Jacob's just going to mutter a little incantation under his breath and waggle his fingers at the general area where those rats are, and use thaumaturgy to cause harmless tremors in the area and see how they react.
Okay. They scatter. They immediately scuttle away, and you see the males looking around a little and they're reacting to the giant rats scuttling away. And they all find their way up the northeast corridor. It's about a 15-foot wide opening into another chamber, and they all run up the east wall and dash into there.
Seems
Well.
Bob's pets got loose.
So, what are we going to do about our little situation here? She kind of smirks. Seems your company hadn't counted on the whiskered gang here taking over the mine. And she kind of,
Whiskey gang?
whiskered. She kind of, thrums her claw tips on the table, doing this thing on the table. I'll tell you what, and your spell has dropped, Ethan.
Yeah.
We used to live in an old shrine near Coneyberry, up the Tribor Road, a number of miles from here. But orcs came down out of the mountains and drove us from the shrine, and so we found this cozy, most hospitable, and most lucrative arrangement. But perhaps if you were to rid the shrine of the orcs, perhaps we might reconsider and go back to our original lair.
I think we need a more firm agreement than might.
Well, she kind of smirks at you. I'm not sure you're in the position for firmness. Don John kind of stands there quietly. Well, I just know that this ain't your mine. And this is the property of the company up in Neverwinter. And she kind of stops him, waggles a finger. I don't see a company here. Well, ma'am, with all
the dwarves.
due respect. And she kind of perks up. Oh, the dwarves, yes, they're here. They're in the back. Mining.
Did we hear any sounds of mining?
Roll perception.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Wally. Sorry.
No, you're good. You are good.
12 again.
Yeah, you don't hear any, sounds of picks or any of that. Well, he kind of turns and looks at the party. Seems we may have discovered the source of the lack of productivity. Wouldn't you say?
Well, it seems like we have. Our charge was to get you here, which we've done.
So you have. Well,
Hey, now what?
he kind of pauses and thinks. Okay. Well, there's certainly more of you than there are of us, although I'm not too sure we need to come to blows. So where do you say this shrine is? And she kind of smirks. Oh, it's good 60, 70 miles along the Tribor Road up near Coneyberry. And you came 60 miles to this mine. Well, so you say if we get you your old place back, you'll vacate the mine. And she kind of nods and smiles. And the other 5, everybody's watching the party, right? All of her hench folk are watching the party. Maybe then that's what we do. And he looks back at the group.
So you're hiring us? Because I was only paid to bring you here.
Are you asking him this?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and leave these fine folks to their mining. And he kind of winks at you all. And we'll figure that out when we get back outside. How will that be?
Before we do that, tell us about the shrine. A shrine to what? The sun?
Oh, it's just an old vacant shrine. The Shrine of Savras, I believe it was known as.
Savras.
Savras. Roll religion.
Savras. Oh, I think Ethan knows something about Savras.
Okay.
But I'll roll religion.
Then no need. But yeah, you're darn right you do.
I didn't know there were any shrines to Savras.
Well, legend has it that the shrine was home to worshippers of Savras. And when some barbarians were foreseen to be coming to Coneyberry by the priests of Savras, the townsfolk fled to the shrine and brought with them all their gold and valuables.
Well, isn't that interesting? I assume you found all the gold and valuables.
Well, that's the damnable thing of it. We found nothing. And I'll wager the orcs have found nothing either. They're certainly not as crafty as we. She kind of looks around.
How many orcs do you think there were?
Certainly more than we could handle. There's a number of them.
50,
No,
20,
probably 20 or
4.
less. 20 or less. I don't know. We got out of there pretty quickly. So yes, if you could rid our home of these disgusting beasts. Yes.
Well, we'll go discuss this with John Donne.
You'll see Isberlin in the back. She'll just have her arms crossed and she'll just lick one of her, lick her lips and just kind of like rub one of her fingers along her tusk.
She's
visibly, very visibly a half orc.
She doesn't pick up on it. Apparently she's a bit of a dolt when it comes to observation. Maybe you're just standing behind Don John. Well, so then I presume you know the way out.
I'm sure we can find our way.
I'm sure we'll be escorted out.
Yes, the rear guard is now the front guard, opens the door and leads you, if you follow, back out to the chamber where you first encountered the two. And Don John,
Before we went.
yeah, Don John just kind of nods. They closed the door that led you back into where you met with, what's her name? Zeline Varnaster. Goodness. And Don John walks right out the tunnel and back outside.
Fresh air. So,
Well, this is a very exciting opportunity we have in front of us.
And he
Very
looks at you all, and you move off away from the opening. And he looks at you all and says, "So, what are we going to do to get rid of these things?"
these look like were-rats. I ran into them in Waterdeep. They're very difficult to beat in combat.
I believe you're correct. Nasty. Don't want to get bit by one of them. Legend has it you turn into one.
Does seem to be the case. So,
Well, I have my orders. I suppose I could go back in there and try to negotiate with them. I have no intention of cleaning out their rat hole.
might be interesting. I haven't seen a Temple of Saffron.
I think a Temple of Savras is quite intriguing.
Who is Savras?
Savras is a god of fortune tellers, diviners. Ethan takes his book out of his pouch, and it's a spell book. And when you see a spell book, the first thing that strikes you is it's thin for a spell book. It looks like it's worn, like it's like a really worn book, like an old book, and the cover is leather, and you can see on the cover like a drawing of an eye, or what looks like an orb. It looks like an orb, and you can see an eye in the center of the orb, and you can see written in fancy script in the spell on the cover of the book. It says a fortune teller's guide to hymns and prayers to Savras. And he says, I'm somewhat familiar with him. He's a god that you might say has fallen out of favor. I believed that there were no temples or shrines left to him.
also an opportunity. Don John can stay here and negotiate, and we can clear out a nest of mountain orcs.
It would certainly be fascinating to see a shrine to Savras.
Indeed, it would.
We're not getting paid for this. We were paid to bring him up here. That's where our job ends. Unless you want to renegotiate.
Jacob will look squarely at Don John and say, "So what say you? Will the company pay to go through this convoluted path to get you your mind back?"
No, I don't believe so. I think the company would see us remove these vermin, be done with it. And he pulls his sling off. And you see he has also with him a small sack that looks to be holding a number of little stones. What say you to that?
Unless you've got silver on those, you're probably not going to do much.
He kind of twirls his sling on his finger.
What say you, Sir Ethan? Do you want to go and see a Temple of Savras?
Thing is, Ethan, I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. We can kill them and then go see the temple instead of making deals. That's an option. I'll do whatever you want to do, Ethan.
Chance to see a Temple of Savras is something I can't pass up.
Lycanthropes are very difficult to kill.
The amount of potential information inside a shrine to Savras could be significant.
Scott, I assume at this point we don't have enough detail to find this place. We just sort of know the general area based on what they described.
Yeah, you know that it's, again, 60 miles or so to Coneybury. And then the shrine is rumored to be south of there. A few miles, 5-10 miles maybe.
So we'd be wandering around in the wilderness looking for it unless we had some details as to where.
Lulu, what say you?
Would we rather go home, but go home and talk sense into no stupid machine.
And have a bowl of chili. That sounds good.
Well, are you going to help me here or not? Kind of looks at you and he twirls his sling. And I can assure you, Master Halfling, that this sling will suffice nicely.
I say, if my opinion matters.
We also don't know how many there are.
Hmm.
We saw 7. We saw rats. There could be more.
And they have the dwarves.
They do. We don't know if they're holding them hostage or just persuaded them to work. They could be hostages.
Say we kill them.
If those dwarves have been harmed or they're being held hostage, I can assure you that the company will pay to have that situation handled. And honestly, if the company won't, it is, after all, a gold mine. And he kind of looks at you and gets this toothy grin on his face. And so by that, I believe as overseer, I have authority to make payment as I see fit. Then if y'all want to go have a look at this shrine, by all means.
That's what the rest of you want to do. That's fine. I'll do it.
We will go to the shrine, Ethan. I'll make sure we go there. But I think this needs to be handled sooner rather than later. It's going to take us a while to get those 60 miles down.
Well, what's our plan for dealing with them?
Well, I can certainly hit him with some stones that are gonna hurt. I can fire one of these things 30 feet, so we could sneak back up that tunnel and try to dispatch the first two. I just didn't want to just start anything in the midst of all of them right in that chamber.
Lulu can be pretty sneaky if she needs to be.
Maybe she could sneak down in there and distract him. Or draw a couple of the males out of there and we can dispatch them one or two at a time.
Lulu not sure of this plan.
Well, I pegged you for a brave little kobold.
Lulu brave, Lulu not stupid.
Kind of smirks at you and nods. But you're at home in those caves, aren't you? Very comfortable.
Lulu's frill kind of deflates a bit. Lulu, what?
I say we just start working our way through and taking them out as we go.
I agree. That's probably the best way to do it.
Taking them off one by one as needed.
All right.
Let's do it.
Very well. He digs in his sack and pulls out a smooth stone and fits it in the sling. We ready? Kind of looks over his shoulder. Can any of you shoot from a distance? And he kind of looks at Lulu. You have a bow, haven't you? As he looks at the bow on your back.
Lulu just stares at him and kind of blinks a few times and looks at her claws and kind of pretends to ignore him.
All right, then. So he starts down the tunnel with his sling, and he's going to try to kind of stealth down there. And surprisingly, he makes not a sound as he sneaks down. Let's see. And you see him kind of crouch. And take his sling and fire one of those stones into the cave. Oh, nice. All right, and you hear a squeak, as and that kind of that thud as the stone finds its mark. Does anybody else have any, what do you call it? Ranged weapons or anything they'd like to use at this point?
I do. Is there where he fired? Is this where the two of them are?
Yeah. If you come up the tunnel, you can see them standing there.
Okay. I'm gonna cast Ray of Frost. I'm gonna try to do the. Do I know which one he hit?
Yeah, you can see it. It's kind of rubbing its head, and it's walking across the cavern toward the tunnel. The other one's behind
Ray
it.
of Frost that.
Okay, go ahead.
That dude. I got a 16.
That's a hit.
All right. I did 5 points of cold damage, and he'll lose 10 feet of movement.
Okay.
Until the start of my next turn.
I would walk in until I saw one of them, and I would just take my longsword and throw it at him like a throwing knife.
Okay.
I have no idea how to create that as a weapon
I would
attack.
say you could use your dex bonus, but not your proficiency.
Okay.
Let's adjudicate it that way. Three? Yeah, your sword clangs into the room. Clang, clang, clang. And he easily
Alright,
just
I'll
kind
use,
of sidesteps it.
I'll use my bonus action to recall my sword to me.
Oh, sweet. What does that look like?
It'll just blink out and blink into my hand. There's nothing really fancy. It's just utilitarian.
Nice. I'd say that's pretty fancy, though. Sweet.
I'd say so.
Okay. So these creatures are rushing up the tunnel, and we're going to roll initiative.
Crap, did I only go?
25 to 20.
I got a 20.
Anybody else 25 to 20? Okay. How about 20 to 15?
I got a 20.
Ezra, nobody else? Okay. How about 15 to 10? You're muted, Dave.
11 for Jacob.
Okay.
Seven for Ezra.
7?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'll pilot Lulu. She's going to hit the hay. Oh, there goes my cams. Okay. Let me roll initiative for Lulu here and regroup a second. Sorry, gang. It's going to take me a second to get her character up. Come on, D&D Beyond. Okay, she's got a 9. All right. So the one that was hit is now behind the other one because it's moving slower because of the frost. The other one has passed it, and it's going to take its full move, and it is right in front of Donjon, and it's going to take a swing with its longsword. Excuse me, short sword. And it's going to miss, and it's going to bite, and it's going to miss with the bite. It is Ethan's turn.
Um,
Man alive. That's awful.
I am going to I'm gonna ray of frost the same one again.
Okay.
The one trailing behind.
Go ahead, sir.
And this time I got a 24.
Yeah, that'll do it.
So I got a 24.
Yep.
And that, this time I got 2 points of cold damage.
Nice. Okay, so very good.
Still slowed.
Yep, still slowed. Fair enough.
And,
okay. Go ahead.
I think I'm gonna. I guess I want to I just want to back away a little bit so that people like Ezralin are ahead of me.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
And more attractive targets.
Make a very attractive target.
That's fair. Okay. Ethan, you just did your thing. The second one is coming up the tunnel and it can't quite get there to Donjon, so it is Jacob's turn. Basically, you've got one right in front of Donjon, who's kind of at the head of your line. This tunnel's 10 feet wide, so you can move about okay. And then you've got another one behind it, so they're kind of stacked up.
I keep thinking of porta potties every time you say his name.
Donjon?
Yeah.
I keep thinking of Miami Vice.
And Miami Vice. I did too at first. I was going to ask if Tibbs was with him, but I didn't.
The actual Miami Vice, not the ridiculous movie that they made. Heathen that I am. All right. I will do a Toll the Dead on the injured one. That's a Wisdom 13 saving throw.
Okay. No dice. Roll your d12, sir.
Awesome. 6 points of damage. Necrotic.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, and it just kind of, in fact, I'm going to give it a percentile roll here. It hangs onto its sword, but it's trying to cover its ears. I mean, this thing's just taking a pounding between cold and necrotic and cold and getting hit with a sling stone. It's not having the most fun it's ever had. That's for sure. Okay. We are now to Lulu. And Lulu's going to, on Ezra's shoulder, Lulu's going to fire her bow. That's a 10. Plus 3 is a 13. And that hits. Nice. Good job, Lulu. And that's 7 damage. So she plunks an arrow into its thigh, and it squeals, and it's bleeding. It's looking kind of rough. We are now to Ezra.
Ezra, how far away are they?
One's within about 15 feet. The other one's about 20 feet out.
All right, I'm going to go to the one 15 feet away.
Okay. That's the unharmed one, kind of in melee with Donjon.
And I'm going to light up my flame tongue longsword.
Okay.
And make a swing at it.
Very nice.
And that is 22 to hit.
That'll do it. All day long.
And that is 10 points of slashing damage and 10 points of fire damage.
Did you say
Well,
10 and 10?
10 and 10, yep.
Okay.
Wow.
Yep. Nice attack. Yeah, so this thing just squeals, makes this horrible sounding squeal, and you've opened up a nice wound, to say the least. Okay, next is Donjon, and he's going to pull out a dagger and try to dagger this dude. In fact, he's going to pull a dagger in each hand. That's a miss. That's a miss. Come on, Donjon. And that's a miss. He gets 3 dagger attacks, and he missed with all 3. How unfortunate is that? We're back to the top of the order. So the fastest dude down the hall is going to make 2 attacks. Again, short sword and bite. Here's the short sword on Donjon. And it, let me look at his AC real quick, but I think that's a miss. Oh, no, that's a hit. So he does open up a slice with the short sword. Does some damage. Not too bad. Just a little cut on the arm. And then he leans in to bite him, and he does so.
Ruh-roh.
That's... Yeah, so you see the thing just bite into his shoulder, and Donjon's like, "Rah!" And he wards off the lycanthropy with a successful save. We are at Ethan's turn now.
So we haven't dropped any of these guys.
There's one right in front of Donjon that just bit him, and there's one behind Donjon, like wanting to obviously come around and get into the fracas.
I'm gonna.
Oh, these cameras, goodness.
I'm gonna fire another ray of frost at the guy behind,
Okay.
and that time I got a 15,
That hits.
and I got 3 points of frost damage.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, he's looking rough, or she's looking rough, I should say. There's frost in her whiskers or fur. Yeah.
And that's all I got.
Okay. The second one, which is the one you just Ray of Frosted, steps around and is going to try to get a swing in at Ezralin, who's up there with Donjon. So it's basically now you and Donjon are shoulder to shoulder, and the 2 were-rats are shoulder to shoulder in front of you. And that's going to give her... Oh, no, she doesn't get that. That's just the giant rats. So she's going to swing her short sword and miss. Then she's going to lean in and bite, rolling a 2. I'm guessing a 4 doesn't hit you. Okay. It is Jacob's turn.
Toll the dead.
Okay. Anyone in
The
particular?
injured one.
They're both injured?
The